Okay, well, we'll start. We have Monica Rizanov, Renee Kilmister from IHA on the line with myself, Justin, and Alan Groth is also here from IHA. And it looks like we have Ricky Fisher and Terupa Ritchie on the line thus far. So there obviously might be some issues getting your mic through so everybody can hear, but please post any questions in the Zoom webinar chat and we can answer those as soon as they're posted. There may be other people that join us, so we might just start and we'll go from there. So hi everybody, it's Donna Murray from IHA, the CEO, and first I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians on all of the lands in which we're meeting from around Australia and thank them for their continued custodianship of our lands, waters, animals and our environment, and the wealth of knowledges and perspectives that they provide to the work that we do. So thank you everyone for joining us. We wanted to sort of have a discussion today about our pending special general meeting of members, which is on the 20th of February, and provide an opportunity for members to ask any questions about the proposed changes to the IHA constitution that the board of directors are proposing to members, and or discuss or ask questions about the proposed change to the company auditor, which we also did discuss at the 2018 AGM with graduate members. So everybody, we can try and share our screen to go through the papers to ensure that everybody has those papers in front of them. So bear with me. So if you're going to the members area of our website, in the members area, you'll look for the 2019 special general meeting and click on that, and the page will come up with the relevant information that was sent to all members through the members communique on the 19th of January in 2019. It has our contact and Zoom numbers for the actual general meeting on the 20th. And then you should also have in front of you the letter to members from the company secretary with the details of the special general meeting, the notice of the general meeting, and it also includes the explanatory notes and the proxy form. So I'm happy to go through the proxy forms if there are questions about the proxy form. A letter from the IHA member, Terupa, nominating a new company auditor, Bell Chambers Barrett, and a copy of the IHA's company constitution. And it shows up all the marks text that proposed changes from the board to the members. So I'll just come back. If there are any questions in relation to access to the papers, has everybody got a copy of those in front of them? You could just let me know if there are any issues from anyone attending. Hello, Robin. I can see you've joined the webinar as well. Hope all is well. It seems that we can't communicate through the microphones, but if you have any questions and would like me to talk about anything specific, please add it to the Zoom webinar chat down on your right-hand bottom left screen. So the proxy form information, we've just got through a comment from Terupa. Proxy form information would be good, yep, and to know how to use that best. So we'll work through that as well. So if everybody's got the papers in front of them, we might go through the notice of meeting, of the general meeting, and I'll go back and show it on the screen so everybody has access to it, because that's where the agenda for the meeting's been set, but also the short explanations on the items that we'll be addressing at the special general meeting. So it is this one. So the notice of general meeting is up on your screen now. Hopefully everybody can see it. And this will go through our agenda of business on the 20th of February. And the first item under the acknowledgement of country and apologies is the removal of the current auditor. And so the explanation there is that we wish to thank Hardwick's thank our current accountant for the work that they've been doing with us over many years. But we would like to engage Hardwick's accountants, who's previously been our auditor, to be our company accountant. And the knowledge that they've been providing IHAR, and this new role playing a more business manager support role to IHAR into our future, is significant in the work that we're doing. And so it's not a loss of a relationship. It's really engaging in a much stronger relationship with Hardwick's accountants. And that the letter from our member Teropa Ritchie has nominated Bill Chambers Barrett as our new company auditor. And as a process, myself and Monifa met with 3 potential auditor companies prior to Christmas. We gained significant information, the way that they work and the relationships they build and the services they would provide, and sort of made a recommendation as to who we thought would be the best fit for our organisation and the future of our work around being a company auditor. And Bill Chambers Barrett is got a long track record working currently with a lot of other Indigenous organisations and has a lot of experience, as well as a very resourced structure and environment for company auditor. So we believe that they would be a great addition to the work that we do, hence why we are proposing the company auditor change. We did present that to the graduates that were at the 2018 AGM, and everyone seemed to be in support of that and understands the progress that we're making as IHAR and into the future. So I'm hoping that that's fairly self-explanatory. The next item, we'll do the appointment of the new auditor. And then item 5, it's the proposed changes to the company constitution. Now, I think we'll run through these. So if anybody has any issues, please post it on the questions on the screen, and Justin and I, Alan, will endeavour to answer all of those in detail. And we'll finish off, Teropa, with going through the proxy votes so people are clear about sending in their proxies for the meeting as well. So hopefully you've got the constitutional changes in front of you. If not, I might bring them up and then we can do it that way. What do you think?
Yeah, we can talk to the 3 categories first, if that's helpful, just so everyone can understand that there's 3 types of changes that we're going to make to the Constitution, and then we can go through each one, perhaps. Yeah. Okay, so do you want me to...
Thank you, Justin. Yep, Justin will talk you through this. Yep.
So the important point to make up front is that these changes are the same changes that went to the annual general meeting in December. And most of the members, the majority of the members, did vote for these changes to go ahead, but you need a special majority to change the Constitution, which is a 75% vote. And the vote just fell short of that. So what Donna and the board have done is they've reflected on that, and they've thought about what the issues might have been and taken feedback from members. And the board is still of the view that it is important that these changes are considered, and we're having a special general meeting for the auditor anyway, so it makes sense to put these up again. But the board thought that it's important that this time there's more explanation so everyone understands what these changes are about and why the board considers it in the best interests of IHAR to go ahead with these changes. And so that's why they've been grouped into these 3 categories. So the board's taken on feedback from members who would like to see these changes go up again, but to have them in different categories so everyone can understand the different areas and why each category is being proposed. So the first category is that IHAR has had some changes to its business activities this is really around commercial revenue sources and providing training and other services to increase its revenue, diversify its revenue, and be a stronger organisation with more sustainability into the future. And so we'll go through these in more detail. It also includes tidy up changes. So if we have a look at, when we get to the definitions, I'll just explain it at a high level now. We can go through more detail, but there's a couple of definitions around the old student director position that are coming out. In Article 5 and Article 62, there are changes made to reflect the commercial revenue sources. And then in Article 39 and Article 46, there's some tidy up changes around there no longer being a student director. So that's what Group 1's about. It's about reflecting where IHA now is and updating the Constitution. The Group 2 changes are around the tenure of directors. And again, we'll have a look at this in more detail, but the Constitution currently says a director can't be a director for more than 6 years. And so it's proposed to take that out, because if we take that provision out, it's then up to the members to balance at any one time, does IHA need experience and continuity, or does it need a change to its board? And the emphasis on either of those will depend on where IHA is up to at any particular time. But if we have a 6-year rule, then that takes it out of the hands of the members. They're not able to appoint a capable director and provide that continuity moving forward if they would like to do that. And last year, for instance, 12 months ago, it was difficult for IHA to get enough directors on the board, and all the board positions weren't filled. So that's what the second item's about. The third item is about independent directors, and most of the directors on the board are from the members. They're graduate members and they are elected to become directors. However, the board can appoint 1 or potentially 2 additional directors who may or may not be members of IHA. And the purpose of that is it's considered good governance for an organisation to be able to bring in people with diverse experience where it's required. So if the board think that there's a particular skill set that needs to be filled, or some additional experience or contacts that the board would benefit from, it can bring in an independent director. What item 3 here is about is just providing that the independent director wouldn't be able to be the chair or the deputy chair. And the reason for that is that IHA is a member organisation, and the chair and deputy chair need to have a very high level of confidence from the members. And so if the board has appointed someone as an independent director and they haven't been appointed by the members, as all other directors are, then there's the possibility that that person may not have that very high level of confidence that the members would require coming from the membership. So item 3 is just saying that if someone is an independent director, that's an excellent thing. They bring good skills and experience, but they shouldn't be in the deputy chair or the chair role at this stage of IHA's development.
So Robin's got a question, so yeah. I'll just... Robin, did you have a question? Can you type it in on the webinar chat? Because we can't hear your mic's not working. So down the right-hand side, there'll be a Zoom webinar chat opportunity there, Robin. Does anyone else have any questions thus far about the 3 different resolutions that will now be put to the members' meeting?
Yeah, so each of those separate categories of changes will go up to members as a separate special resolution, and each of those will require a 75% vote in order to be passed and become part of your constitution. So if it's useful, we can go through each of those changes individually in the constitution, Donna.
Yep, sure.
And if you have it, we appreciate it takes a little while for you to ask the questions. There's a bit of a delay, but when they come through, we'll answer them. Okay, so we have a new question that's come through. You'd like a broader rationalisation as to why it's important that the independent director is not the chair.
Okay, so in our constitution, under that particular article, it is not an Indigenous specific appointment. So the board could appoint any independent director, either Indigenous or non-Indigenous, to the board for specific expertise and skill. And so with our business development and with the development of IHA and the work that we're doing across the sector, it may be relevant in the near future that the board appoint a non-Indigenous expert in accounting, business, in risk, in other areas that we currently may not have in our full member graduate directorship. And that will be critical to the advancement of our organisation. And therefore, this particular item around independent directors is trying to mitigate the risk, and the board have thought about the risk that may be involved in, not now, but into the future as well, that if there is non-Indigenous independent directors, that mitigating that risk of them having the eligibility to be a chair or deputy chair, being that we are a member organisation, Indigenous organisation, and that is where our leadership is. And so the members voting in their graduate members, absolutely, and the chair and their representative as chair and deputy chair should be appointed from the membership. And so that's sort of a reason why we're talking about the independents not being eligible for chair or deputy chair. Why in this stage of IR's development is it important to have a member chair? Exactly. Great response. Thank you, Turpa. It is critical to our organisation, our constitution as an Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander national member-based organisation, that our leadership is Indigenous, Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander. And it's really mitigating that risk of in the future that that could possibly happen. So is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Probably not. But in this sense, when you think about risk, it's about mitigating that risk and having the members vote their member graduates in as directors, and then the board voting in a chair and deputy chair that are members and representing a member-based organisation. Were there any other questions you wanted us to raise before we went into a little bit more detail?
There's a test question that's come through from Renee as well, so we've got that.
So I'm just Trevor, can you talk now?
Hello.
I've just worked out.
Okay, so it's working now, is it?
Oh, great, we can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, look at that. Donna Murray. Donna Murray's high-techy here.
Well done. No, great responses to those questions. I think that's really, really important about the independent director's position, and also the tenure of directors as well. So thank you for that explanation.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. Robin, I'm just clicking on Allow to Talk for you, and it just says you've got an older version of Zoom. Choose to promote to panellists to allow Robin Young to talk. Promote to panellists.
And everyone else is able to talk now, but you're all on mute. So if you unmute, we should be able to hear you.
Robin, can you talk now, darling? No?
Just dropped off.
Okay. So everyone else has... Oh, Robin! Is your microphone on, darling? You should be able to talk now, hopefully. You there?
Dropped off on the right side there. Does that mean she's
Yeah, but she
offline?
seems to be. Okay. Well, Robin. Here we go. I'm just going to type her a thing and then we'll move forward. Okay, so we'll go into a bit more detail now with the constitutional change, and please ask questions as we go through. Oh, Donna Murray, sorry. That wasn't supposed to happen. Sorry, my computer's just dropped out. Is everybody still there?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
What can you see?
Yes.
Can you see us, or can you see me clicking through the screen?
We can see you.
See me? Okay. Oh, there you are. Okay, share. Okay, can you see the Constitution on the screen now?
Yep, we can see that now.
Yep, okay, great. So, I think everyone's happy with the tidy up. I don't think there were any issues at the AGM last year around the tidy up of those individual changes. Is that correct? Others can talk if they unmute their mic. Ricky, you're on mute. So here's the first one around the objects of the company, where we've added in the additional commercial activities around our business, around our training and development, and other fee-for-service sort of consultancy work that we're doing nationally. But you will see that all income and profits solely towards the promotion of our charitable objects of this company. So anything we make obviously comes back into the company for the activities of the members and the work that we do, and that's critical as a not-for-profit and a charitable organisation. So I don't recall any issues that people had with any of those tidy up sections of the Constitution. So we might go to Article 42, if you have it in front of you, the tenure of directors. I don't want to scroll too fast because it makes you a bit dizzy when you... Has anyone got any questions? No? Yes? There's another tidy up because we don't have director-student positions anymore. So Article 42, tenure of directors.
It basically says that a director, when they're serving 2 years terms, can't serve more than 3 in a row. So can't serve more than 6 years. If a director serves 6 years, they then need to stand aside for at least 12 months before they're eligible to come back onto the board again.
And I guess as company secretary on behalf of the board, and Therapa's online too, is that as Justin mentioned earlier, that IHA's history over the last 10 years, some years has been really difficult to even get enough people to nominate to be a director on our board, and therefore if into the future, in the near future, that happens, we will lose a lot of corporate knowledge, and we may have bodies on the board, but in a sense they may not be experienced and or have experience as a board director or experienced in a not-for-profit organisation or in IHA, as we have lots of new members, and you know our annual growth is quite on a steep up every year. I think it's around 28% growth each year. So there's a risk, and the board have identified that risk that could potentially happen. And I guess the concern raised at the AGM, for memory and for those that were there, please value add, is that this was only added a few years ago. Why do we need to change it? And yes, at the time and a previous board, they did feel that this was necessary for, again, reducing risks. But as our organisation has grown exceptionally in the past 3 to 4 years, we're sort of in a different growth period. And the current board and myself, feel that the weighing up risks, and everything's a risk, so there's always risks being weighed up around our way forward, is that to reduce the risk of losing corporate knowledges and or not having a full board, or reducing the members' opportunity to vote who they want to lead their organisation, is to remove this particular 42D from the Constitution at this moment. Now, there was also discussions raised in 2013 when we changed to a company limited by guarantee, that over the coming 10 years that there will be a process of change within the Constitution and around the governance of our organisation as we develop and progress in our ability, in our profile and the work that we do. And so that's definitely what's been happening since 2013, Justin. If you remember some of those conversations with the board back then, that it is a normal process for a company to find its feet for several years. And since we've moving into business activities where we're generating an income, our membership is increasing significantly, that we're trying to now reduce any risks that might come to the organisation in this growth period. And the board, through governance expertise and advice and legal advice, feel that this is a way forward. So that's, I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to that, Terepa?
For the tenure directors section, is that what you were talking about there, Donna?
Yes, so the tenure, yep.
And to reiterate what you were saying earlier about the loss of corporate knowledge on the board, I think that was a big risk that has been identified by the board directors. And so at this stage, even though that was put in a time when the board were able to securely still have that corporate knowledge, that wasn't something that the board felt at this stage we would easily be able to maintain with that limit on the length of tenure for directors.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one of the big drivers for that decision. And later on down the road, when and if that's addressed hopefully relatively soon, then that could be something that might be looked at. But at this stage, it's not something that the board feels is quite helpful in keeping that corporate knowledge on the board.
Thank you, Deputy Chair. And really, it leaves the board directors in the hands of the members, where it should be, and then they have the say as to who they're going to vote in as their director graduates. And from those that they vote in, there will be respect for those voted in, that they will then elect the most appropriate person to lead the organisation as chair and deputy chair.
To echo those thoughts, sorry, Robin, you go there. So, Robin, did you have a comment there?
Hi, Robin.
Hi, how are you? Yeah, I think it's a good idea. If everybody agrees with it.
Yeah, and that we're just trying to explain these decisions, Robin, so that people are better informed about making the decision, and you can help others then to explain.
And just a second, your comments there, Donna, about it's up to the board then to decide who they want.
I think we have to leave it.
Yeah. It's up to them that they decide who they want to represent them. So
that's right. Yeah.
That's right. I think the board has got to have the final say in it, and I think as all of us other people have got to support the board in their decisions, because the decisions are going to benefit all of us.
That's right, Robin. Thank you. That's how an organisation should work. And the other thing that we'll consider with that is to give the members more confidence in who they're voting for, is maybe bolster up the process of nomination and, you know, what they should be talking about themselves about, and, you know, the criteria, so that people that have been on the board for a period of time should and be able to demonstrate what they're giving to the organisation and the leadership that they've, you know, that they've acquired, but also are showing at a national level. So that the members can then make an informed decision about, well, are the big people currently on the board that are asking to be re-elected doing their job? Yeah.
That's right. They have to be accountable, don't they?
Exactly, Robin. Exactly. As do I for my job. So.
True. That's the thing, isn't it? Like, you can't just have a job and not be brought to account for it, can you?
That's right, Dom. That's right. So is everybody happy with an explanation as to that constitutional proposed change?
Yes.
Yep. All right. We'll move on to this next one, which was a little bit contentious as well at the last meeting. 57, Article 57, if you've got it in front of you. 57, appointment of officers. So this is where we're saying we're adding an additional point to say that all nominees for the chair or deputy chair positions must be a director graduate who has been elected by the membership. So you will see in this section that the board must elect the following officers. So the board itself elects the chair, the deputy chair, and the company secretary. If it exceeds a number of vacancies, to be filled, a ballot process, and then we've got the ballot for the appointment of officers. And so then we're adding in one here that says basically that only director graduates are eligible for a chair or deputy chairperson position.
And you gave a really good explanation of that before, in terms of it being a member organisation and an Indigenous organisation, and the potential for there to be a non-Indigenous external director coming on, and the implications in terms of having full confidence of the membership. I think that explained it really well.
Yeah, and look, I think as a company secretary in my 8 or so years here, is I could see in the very near future, with the development of this organisation, that an independent director may need to be a non-Indigenous person with some specific expertise, particularly around risk, finance, commercial activity, expansion. What does that mean for an organisation? As you know, our member graduates are health professionals. And so some of those skills that may be required to further develop where we are and into the future of our organisation for viability and sustainability may be specific expertise that is required. And so this is just reducing or mitigating the risk that any person who's not voted in from the membership does not become a chair or deputy chair. Is there any questions on that? Or is there any contention around that? Is there?
No, I think it's a good idea. This is Robin here again, because we do have to have legal people to guide us, even in our everyday life when we have to go and do things. It's those legal things that, maybe could be detrimental to us, whereas if we have someone doing legal things, it will be a benefit to our group.
That's right, and I think we're just leaving it open for whatever is needed, yeah?
That's right.
whether that's Indigenous or non-Indigenous, it's about the skill of the person and what they want to contribute to our organisation. Really, are the people that we want as part of our decision making. But I think from a membership point of view, which all of you are members, you know, the question is, would you like to see, without any uncertainty, that the chair and deputy chair is a member from your membership? You know, and I guess that's the question you need to ask yourself and other members. Even though that's what it is now, it's the risk of it possibly happening is possible. Is it likely? I said probably unlikely, but in a sense, this is making sure that it doesn't for any future decisions.
Yeah, I think it's Robin here. I think it's a protection for us.
Yes.
Really, yeah, it's going to protect us in more ways than one.
Yes, Robin, that's correct. Yeah. Are there any, and that's how the board, that's the board's view as well, Robin.
Beg your pardon?
That's the board's view. That's why they was proposing this change. Yes.
I think it's a good change, and I think we have to, if you look at the organisation, it's grown and it's going to grow much bigger, and we have to move ahead.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Are there any other comments or questions from anybody?
No, I think that's pretty
No?
self-explanatory.
Is that pretty self-explanatory? All right. Yeah. I don't think there was anything else in the actual constitutional change, but I guess the last thing is, like Justin said, is that there are 4, is it total of 4 resolutions? 1, 2,
5.
3, 4, oh, 5.
2 for the auditors, 1 to remove the old auditor, 1 to bring the new auditor on, and then 3 further resolutions for each of the 3 categories of changes to the Constitution.
Okay. Is that, is there any other information required for members? And we might just go on to the proxy form. No, that's pretty self-explanatory. So at the previous AGM, there was just the 1 resolution for all changes to be, it was all grouped together. The board have suggested that this special general meeting, that there are the separate resolutions for those 3 key groups of changes to the Constitution. Each one of those resolutions, 5, needs a 75% vote positive to get up, okay? And so that's where we didn't get the previous proposed changes up, because we didn't quite reach the 75%. So it's very critical that members come to the special general meeting and vote to ensure that happens. So there was a question earlier about the proxy forms, and we know Justin and I have talked about proxy forms and how do we make it easier for people to do their proxy.
It's a little bit easier because we don't have director elections for this particular.
Yes.
Helps simplify the form a bit.
Okay, that's true too. So, if you've got the proxy forms, that was part of the. Can
we bring it up?
Yep, we can bring it up. I'll just bring that up. So.
I think it's attached to the notice. Yes.
It is. Was I just on the notice? No, I wasn't. Bear with me. I lost the notice somewhere. I don't know what I did with that.
Yeah, that's
fine. All right. So if you go down to the bottom of the notice, we've talked through the proposed changes in a bit more detail that was sent out to members. And then you've got your proxy form there. So for any reason you can't make that Zoom call or teleconference call for the meeting to make your voice heard, and we really encourage members to do their proxy form. And so there's 2 types of proxies we can get, basically. One is you put your details in. I, Donna Murray, of my address, full member of the company, give my vote to either the chairperson of the meeting, which will be the IHA chair, or somebody specific.
Who's going to attend the meeting? A full member
Yes.
who's going to the meeting.
Yes. So you put that person's name. So they're saying, I'm going to the meeting, and you say, well, I can't go. I would like, what way are you going to vote? You know, that would be a handy conversation to have as well. So you know what way they're going to vote. And then you can give your proxy, your vote to them, and they will declare, they'll need to send the form to me within 48 hours prior to the meeting. That's the deadline. Most people don't meet. So at 1 o'clock, 2 days before the meeting, is when I need to receive the proxies by. So that's the 18th of February. And we will collate them, and then when we call for votes, we'll also know who has a proxy, and that'll be counted as well. Is that right, Justin?
That's right. Yeah. So can they see your cursor, Donna?
Can you see me doing this?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Yes, I can.
So if you just, yeah.
Do you want to drive?
Yeah. So on the most practical level, this is where your name goes. This is where your address goes. And there's two choices. You put a big X here if you want the chair to be exercising your votes as your proxy, or you put the full member's name here who will do that. So you either choose that or that. And then if you want to tell them how to vote rather than get them to vote in the way they think fit, you just tick the box for each of these resolutions of how you would like to vote. You either vote for or against or abstain.
Which we don't really want you to do.
No, if you're going to abstain from everything, there's no point.
What are you voting?
Proxy form
Yeah.
in, So name, address, you either fill that out or that out, and then you tick the box for each resolution that indicates your view, and then you sign. You sign here, put the date, you sign there, and you write your name there, and you put your daytime telephone number in case you need to be contacted there. So that's the proxy form. And there's instructions on here. They really repeat what we've just been through, but it's worth reading. It's explaining here that you can appoint the chair or you can appoint a member. Your proxy must be a full member of IHA, full voting member who's going to be attending the meeting. Point 2 here is saying you can direct your proxy how to vote. That's ticking the boxes above. Point 3 is saying you must sign the form. We've been through where you sign. And 4 is the critical point. If IHA doesn't receive your proxy form 48 hours before the meeting, it won't be valid. So that's really critical. You should aim to get it in prior to 2 days beforehand, so you don't leave that to the last minute. And in terms of how to get your proxy form in, there's the various delivery options there. Okay, any questions on the proxy form?
Thank you for that. That's good.
And when you go over it, it is quite easy. It's just when people have to read and interpret things, it's a little bit more difficult. Is everybody okay with that?
Yep, very good.
Excellent. All right, so I think we've talked about the majority of what we wanted to talk about, you know, in a bit more depth today. Was there anything, the other questions that anyone may have? Is everybody comfortable with the explanation I provided on the company auditor changes?
I think Ricky, you might be muted.
Yeah, she is. No other questions? All right. Well, if there's nothing else anyone would like to contribute or ask or say, we will conclude at 2:51 on our first webinar. Now, lastly, are there any suggestions of what we could do better for our second webinar next week?
Besides the obviously it's out of your control, the IT issues, that's a great, easy structure format to follow. I think inclusion of the proxy forms as a point in itself is a really good conclusion.
Excellent, thanks, Teresa. Anybody else like to provide some feedback? Because we have another one next week, just for a different time and a different day for other people to access if possible. So please share the information that you may have gained from today with others, because that's always a really good opportunity for members to do.
Hey Donna.
Yes, Ricky?
Will this be available offline for those that can't attend any of the webinars?
Yes, it's recording, so we can actually put it up, yes. Yes. Thanks, Ricky. All right, well, we'll finish today. Thank you very much for your time, everybody. I really appreciate your commitment and your participation. Share the information. Also let others know that there'll be another one next week, which we send out a communique for, and we'll send out a reminder. And if you have any other questions about the discussions today, please send me an email and we'll talk about it straight away. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Cheers.